I think it's great fodder for newspapers. I mean, it gives football fans in Singapore something new to complain about as well, which is always nice. But I mean, so far I think Singtel and StarHub have done a very good job of shifting the blame to FIFA. I mean, definitely they've managed the press in that way. Although I think that fans generally will not be happy with any of the three parties. When you look at the facts behind the whole thing, it doesn't surprise me actually how much FIFA are asking for rights in Singapore. If you look at some of the other Asian markets, in Hong Kong I think they achieved about 50 million Sing dollars. In Korea it was even higher than that. So FIFA at this late stage have a lot of benchmarks to work with for Singapore, and it'll be difficult for them to go lower than that. In particular I think they'll be using Hong Kong as a benchmark because the number of cable TV subscribers there is fairly similar. So if they really discount against what they've given to Hong Kong, then that will make it difficult in the future in terms of their negotiations. And I suppose they'll also lose face as well. On top of that, of course, Singtel have really stabbed themselves in the back by paying so much for the EPL because by committing that amount of money, again, they've set a benchmark which FIFA will have seen, and FIFA will be very reluctant to go below something that's equivalent in terms of the number of matches and is comparable to what Singtel have paid there. So it's really a difficult situation where nobody is going to want to budge, and I think there is a possibility that we're not going to see live games, at least on cable TV, in Singapore, which would be an interesting and difficult dynamic for a lot of people. Yeah, I think a disaster maybe is a good way to describe it. I think that first of all, for fans, it's terrible because the World Cup is an event that only comes once every 4 years, and you can't replace what live TV brings to that event. So from a fan's point of view, it's obviously terrible, and I think fans have been very good at expressing that emotion both online and in various other ways, and hopefully that kind of pressure will play on FIFA and on all the other parties that are involved. From a marketer's point of view, it will obviously be a difficult and concerning situation at the moment, and more so as it goes on because marketers need to plan in advance. And typically for particularly partners and global sponsors, the first media that they look to in their association with the event is TV. And they're always well in advance looking to see what TV packages are available, what opportunities are available around sponsorship. It's very important for that to be available to them to leverage their investment, their global investment properly in a market like Singapore. So it's definitely of major concern. I think the implications for media generally are interesting. It's very hard to replace TV, and for marketers to try and do that, I think would almost be a bit of an experiment if it takes place. I mean, there are both opportunities and challenges. If we think about MediaCorp to start with, MediaCorp I think have been quite smart. They've already come in with a direct offer to FIFA to televise some of the key matches. And definitely if there's no agreement with StarHub and Singtel, I think MediaCorp will come out of this very well. Because if they can reach agreement on those few games, they will be able to charge a very strong premium to particularly the key partners and sponsors who will be desperate to get some kind of TV association with the event. On top of that, I think from a goodwill point of view, it could offer an opportunity to MediaCorp. StarHub, Singtel and FIFA will all look very bad to fans in Singapore if they can't reach an agreement. And let's not forget that Singtel and StarHub's customer base in Singapore is largely, or a large part of that is football fans. So they certainly won't want to create any kind of negative association. But MediaCorp could, if they come in and secure some of the key matches, be seen as a little bit of a saviour of the whole situation. And I think that could be very good for their relationship with football fans in Singapore. There's nothing bigger, and alongside the Olympics, I don't think there's any event of any kind that is bigger from a global platform point of view than the World Cup. So it's a huge event for advertisers, and certainly for all those global partners, for all the sponsors, and for a lot of local brands, particularly lifestyle brands. There won't be a bigger marketing opportunity this year than the World Cup. So it's extremely important. And it does generate good ratings in Singapore. I think advertisers are willing to pay a premium over the ratings, the audience numbers, because what the World Cup really brings is a fantastic environment that is passionate, that is exciting, that is engaging, that multiplies the effect of your advertising and your brand communications, and creates an opportunity for brand affinity that almost isn't possible anywhere else. So in that sense, it's kind of there's an intangible effect of the World Cup that is irreplaceable to advertisers. And of course, a lot of that is generated through TV, because TV is the medium through live games that creates the most excitement. So that's why advertisers will be, I think, very concerned with what's happening. There are obviously some issues in Singapore with the World Cup that make it maybe slightly less valuable proposition than in other markets. The first is that Singapore is not participating, and although fans will no doubt choose their favourites, you can't substitute for the fact that your team's not in it. The second point is a lot of the key games, including both the semi-finals and the final, are going to be televised at around 2:30 in the morning here in Singapore, which will definitely have a negative effect on the potential ratings for those key games. So overall, I think that there are opportunities and challenges for advertisers here, but you can't replace the World Cup. It's really a fantastic opportunity. I think, well, this is one thing that I think would be really interesting about Singapore if there was no TV here, because it would almost be like a control experiment for how online can substitute for TV. In terms of sports broadcasting and in terms of marketing with a sports event. So I know there's a British company that has expressed interest, and they have the capability to transmit the games live. To be honest with you, I don't think it is a true substitute for TV. There are certain qualities of TV, the big screen, the fact that the comfort, the convenience, what you might call, I think, the pervasiveness of TV as well, the sense of everybody watching the same channel, the same event at the same time, that generates an excitement that, at the moment at least, can't be replicated by live streaming online. But on the other hand, I think it would be very interesting to see how marketers would react to something like live games only being streamed online. I mean, this World Cup is going to be the most online World Cup in history. And you'll definitely see both global and local marketers leveraging, I think particularly social media, a great deal around the event to try and create excitement, create communities. And in fact, some of the global partners, or global sponsors like Sony Ericsson, for example, have really put social media as their #1 priority around the event in terms of marketing. But again, I still don't believe that will be a true substitute for TV, and it's much better to have a mix of the two, so hopefully that will be possible.